Good afternoon, it's Grant Cameron. I'm here at Eureka Springs at the 2018 Ozark Conference, and I got a good friend of mine from Hamilton, Ontario with me, Kevin Estrella, and I've just released the Tuned In book, the bizarre paranormal world of music, dealing with music and UFOs and the paranormal. And one of the people that I've featured in my book is Kevin Estrella, and we're going to talk a little bit about music. And so I'll maybe start by getting you to introduce what your musical background is and how we first met.
Sure, yeah, so, well, Kevin Estrella, Pyramids on Mars, it's instrumental rock from the music, from the mystical red planet, and my music has been tied to the whole UFO thing in a very strange way that kind of started to play out, and I started to understand things at a more deeper level. And then it was in August 21st of 2014 when I had this interdimensional craft fly across my backyard.
Can you describe what happened then?
Yeah, it was a very nice warm night. I step out onto my deck. It was 10:30 at night, and I live in the city of Hamilton, and it's a population of 500,000. I live right in the middle of the central suburbia. So, and it's 10:30 at night. It's not that late. And then from my neighbor's my right side neighbor, he has a big tree, and within 7 seconds of me stepping out on my deck, this object starts coming out from behind the tree. And at first, my initial reaction was I thought it was a meteor, because it was orange and red, glowing, kind of tie-dye like. But when it finally came into my full view, it had this like mist that was kind of coming off the top of it and along the bottom of it, and it was a disc, this perfect disc. But it was like only, I would estimate about 100 yards away from me. Like it was really close. It was hugely close, and so it came into my vision, and it's moving across the distance of my backyard. And 7 seconds after I stepped on my deck, and I'm looking at this thing going, what the heck is that? I didn't know what it was, because I'd seen UFOs on TV and in movies and stuff like that, but nothing could describe what it was I was looking at because of the physical features it had. Because the biggest thing that made it stand out the most, and I didn't pick up on this until about 2 weeks after the incident, was that it was two-dimensional. So it's kind of like looking at a solar eclipse, that looks like a hole in the sky. It's got height, depth, but it has it has height, width, but no depth. And this thing just looked like a hole in the sky.
No.
Orangish red tie-dye, and this mist that was coming off, streaming off the top and along the bottom of it, but it definitely had this solid disc shape to it. But I finally understood 6 months later from watching a video looking at the sun and seeing plasma streams coming off the sun. I finally picked up and realized that this thing was covered in plasma, and that's what it was. So it goes across the distance of my backyard and starts moving its way south towards Binbrook. As it's moving away, the color of it started to disappear and fade until there was it had no color at all. It was just this black mass. And then, but simultaneously, as that was happening, it was opening up this white whirling vortex that was forming in the front of it. It could be like a portal or something. I have no idea. Like I have no idea what I'm even dealing with here. Mm-hmm. And then it just made its way south, and it completely. Finally clicked in. I think I saw a UFO. And
so at that time you didn't know it was an interdimensional thing, or you had no concept about all the different stuff like that. It was just simply some sort of unknown UFO type thing.
I realized that it had to be unearthly, unworldly, because I could not even grasp the concept of what it was I was looking at. It was so. It didn't make sense.
Yeah.
Like the
So
physical.
then your worldview develops. Can you describe how you go from just one object to this
whole UFO thing?
Complex worldview that you now understand?
Yeah. So what I understood, like I filed a report with MUFON, and hadn't heard from them for a year, and then it was. I also remember going through this whole period of time for 2 weeks afterwards. After I saw the UFO. My whole world was shattered. My concept of reality was shattered. For some reason, your mind wants to try and fit what you saw into the box that you know exists, but it didn't work. I mean, radiating plasma, two-dimensional, you know, portals opening. It's like, what the heck is going on?
Mm-hmm.
So then it was June of 2015 where I saw the news where it was saying about this Alien Cosmic Expo in Toronto that was going on, and I wanted to check it out. I was like, I was really excited about this, and then I saw that Stanton Friedman was there, and then there's this, it was this huge thing about you saying Grant Cramer is doing a presentation, and then when I read what your title was, it was like the hair in my arm stood up, my jaw dropped. It was extraterrestrials and musicians, and why extraterrestrials are contacting musicians to raise consciousness and frequency on the planet. Mm-hmm. And it was then that that was the first synchronicity that I ever had. And I was went, oh my God, this is all about me. This is like, this is all about me. So there's something bigger going on here, that I'm part of this thing, and I'm being called to go see Grant Cameron. It was like a Jesus thing. It was just like, when you're called, you're called. Yeah. And so my life was just freaked out, you know. And so I go to the, you know, I go and I meet up with you. I grab you before your presentation. I hand you my CD, and you look down at it. You look up at me and say, "We got to talk." And I'm like, "Yeah, we got to talk." Yeah. And then you did your whole presentation on how many other musicians have been contacted, and then the whole presentation on your left brain, right brain, and closing down the ego mind so that the right brain can expand into higher consciousness. And I started to understand how I was experiencing the same thing, and how my music doesn't feel like it's being written. It's kind of like a you know, coloring book where it's like, you know, the numbers book. This is red. You know, 1 is red, 2 is green, and all the pictures done. And that's kind of like how my writing process was, and I never felt like I was really writing my music. And then it got more and more profound over the years with these dream downloads I've got of songs.
So tell me a little bit about give me a couple of example of this.
Yeah.
You had one big one.
The big one, yeah, was the first one was the song Dream Division off of Echo Cosmic, which I was having this dream where, because I'm so influenced by this guitar player Joe Satriani, it was a dream of watching MTV on TV. And this you know, MTV interviewer is interviewing Joe. He's sitting at a console and stuff in a studio, and they're saying, "Hey man, we heard you writing a new album. You think you can play for us right now?" He's like, "Oh yeah, we got some bad tracks. You know, I'll play this." And he starts fiddling around with some stuff and starts playing this music coming through the monitors. And I'm hearing this song, and I'm going, "Wow, this sounds really cool. Wow, I wish I could write something like this." And then I realized, and I was conscious in the dream, wait a second, Joe never wrote this song. And I wake myself up, go down to the studio, and start tracking out the song. I knew exactly what the song was doing, and within 3 days the song was written.
Wow.
So it's like, technically I didn't really write that song, because there was no conscious effort whatsoever. Zero. It was like you turning on your radio, listening to the radio, and somebody turns to you and says, "Oh, by the way, that song doesn't exist. Here, it's a gift."
Yeah.
So it's like, I didn't get it.
Yeah.
I didn't know what was going on. So it was like I was tapping into this higher energy. Now, another time that I did this was actually last year, and this song is going to be on my new album.
So how many albums have you got now?
I've got 2 right now.
Okay,
and I'm
this will
working
be a
on
third.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. And so this is one where I have a very conscious memory of being in this cover band called Veritas. I remember seeing our CD cover, you know, with 4 members of the band, kind of black and white with kind of half our faces electrified. And apparently we're some kind of Tool cover band. Now Tool's this, you know, rock group, and I was really influenced by them. And so I threw on the CD, and I'm driving down this dirt road, which I recognize being in my old home area of Orangeville, Ontario, and I'm listening to this song, which is supposed to be a new song by Tool that we're playing live. And I remember the beat. Remember last year at ACE, I was like, you know, after a couple beers, I was like hammering it out for you, you know.
Yeah.
So and after listening to that song, in that dream, I realized, wait a second, Tool never wrote this song. I've never heard this song before in my life. And I realized, oh my God, it's happening again. I wake myself up. My wife looks at me and says, "Did it happen again?" I'm like, "Yeah, it happened again." So
how did your wife react to all this kind of progression of...
For my former wife now. But she's slowly started to accept that the things that are happening to me are, that something's going on that's real. Yeah. And here's a great thing that really freaked me out. Veritas, I had no idea what that meant, what that word meant. Okay.
You never heard the show, the radio show?
No, I didn't, and I didn't understand what the word meant. And then I looked it up, and it's Greek for truth. and that meant something. That meant something, and that's why.
Have you been on the Veritas show?
No, I don't know if I have.
No. Okay.
Okay. So I think that had significant meaning because I didn't understand the word meant, and that's going to be the song, the name of the song.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of taking a direction. But dream downloads are quite popular, quite common. I've had that. I also had my neck illusions, DNA double helix design on my guitar.
Oh yeah.
That was a dream download as well. I had this dream that I was being, these three extraterrestrials, these greys, were handing me my guitar, but I had this double helix, green double helix in the neck of my guitar, which I thought looked really cool, and I recognized it as being a crop circle from Wiltshire, England, that was formed in 1997. And I was thinking, well, that's a really nice dream. That's a really cool design to have on a neck of a guitar, but it's just way too hard of an inlay, and there's just no possible way for that to be done. I was wrong. 3 days after that dream, I was followed by a company on Twitter called Neck Illusions, who have this patent for removable neck graphics for guitars. And so I contacted Mark from the company, and I sent him the pictures of the crop circle, and that I wanted it to look like Steve Vai's guitar, which has this kind of nice vine symbol going down it. And I said, "Can you make this?" And he said, "Absolutely." And they made it exactly how I saw in the dream, but then they gave me an endorsement deal. They wanted to be like one of their new selling, signature models.
Wow.
So it just all happened together like synchronicity.
So I went through. I mean, they've got this thing. They're making this thing, or
Oh yeah, they're making it. It's on
wow.
sale now, and I've sold many copies of it.
Wow.
Steve Vai, he's a really world famous musician. He was a student of Josiah Triani. He played with Whitesnake and all these other bands, and now he's a Neck Illusions artist as well. So if you go to the Neck Illusions website, you'll see a picture of him, and you'll see a picture of me next to him. So it's pretty cool.
So it's improved your career. It's
starting
well,
to.
how has it changed your life in terms of?
I think just everything with the CE5 contacts that I continue to have, it just keeps expanding, and I start to see things, how multidimension and how everything works, and how everything's alive. Like everything is attached, through the synchronicities and through the way the world, the cosmos is communicating to you when you actually open your eyes to this larger world. And this illusion of 3 dimensions just fades away.
So if you had to do it over, you do it over again?
Oh yeah, for sure.